For teleSUR, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. Burkina Faso's military dissolved parliament and announced a transitional government on Thursday. It comes after violent protesters set fire to the parliament building, denouncing the country's former president, Blaise Compaoré's plan to extend his 27 years in office. The army organized a press conference announcing it was seizing power and pledged to restore constitutional order within 12 months. Meanwhile, UN Chief Ban Ki-moon dispatched a special envoy to help restore calm throughout the country. A convoy carrying Peshmerga fighters has entered a northern Syrian border town, crossing over from Turkey on Thursday. At the same time, the U.S. Defense Department today praised the progress made against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. The U.S.-led coalition continues to carry out airstrikes in the region. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council warns that the ongoing conflict in Syria has hampered UN relief efforts to respond to the worsening humanitarian situation in the country. On Wednesday, Mexico's President Enrique Nieto held a 5-hour meeting with the parents of the disappeared Ayotzinapa students. At the same time, protests continued across the country demanding justice in the case. From Mexico, here's our correspondent CLAYTON CONN with more.
The chants for justice in the Ayotzinapa case continue to echo in the streets of Mexico. This time, university students demand to broadcast a message of their discontent on public media channels.
A nivel nacional que ejercen los partidos políticos.
The parties and the regime function at the national level and are sustained by the mass media. So for us youth, it is very important to participate in this type of mobilization to demand that media spaces, in this case university ones, are utilized by students.
Meanwhile, outside of the National University radio station, they hold a rally wondering where the state and rule of law end and criminal groups begin.
Politicians and criminals are one and the same. There is no difference between them. And so, who are to demand justice from? From who do we demand punishment for those intellectually and materially responsible for these types of crimes?
On the other side of the city, after a 5-hour private meeting with families of the 43 disappeared youth, President Enrique Peña Nieto announces the state's conviction in bringing the case to a close.
As I have said many times, we will carry out lengthy, in-depth investigations to eliminate the slightest chance of impunity.
However, the relentless public protests underscore the deep skepticism shared not just by the families, but of wide parts of society of the state's true commitment in finding justice for Ayotzinapa. CLAYTON CONN, teleSUR, Mexico City.
And thanks to CLAYTON, Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa and Peruvian President Ollanta Humala gathered Thursday for an official meeting along with their binational cabinet. For the purpose of the talks, here's our correspondent Liz SCHERFFIUS.
Today, President Rafael Correa is meeting with Peruvian President Ollanta Humala for the 8th binational cabinet meeting between the two countries, who throughout much of their history were engaged in a territorial border conflict, which was resolved by a peace agreement signed in 1998. The meeting is being held in Arenas, in the southern province of El Oro. Upon Humala's arrival this morning, both presidents gave statements at the airport in Santa Rosa, where they both expressed their hopes for strengthening bilateral relations. Correa said that despite the history of conflicts between both countries, they are committed to working towards the well-being of their people and furthering regional integration. Humala highlighted that both countries are working towards achieving a type of development that improves the quality of life of their citizens. Topics to be discussed include security, defense, environmental issues, mining and energy, as well as strengthening the economies of both countries through commerce and tourism. Liz SCHERFFIUS, teleSUR, Ecuador.
And thanks to Liz. And now we go to Bolivia, where a serious drought is affecting the country. Thousands of families have lost livestock, and 4 departments in the country have declared a state of emergency. Here's our correspondent David Dougherty with the latest.
Experiencing a major drought in recent weeks. 4 of the country's 9 departments have declared a state of emergency, with a total of 32 municipalities affected. The government estimates that up to 7,000 families have already lost livestock due to the lack of water, with many thousands more families affected by the drought. Bolivia's Vice Minister of Civil Defense, Oscar Cabrera, says the government anticipates October to be the year's driest month, but that rains should start in November and intensify in December. Aid is arriving in the form of tanker trucks carrying water that the government hopes will arrive to some of the more remote communities. Reporting from La Paz, David Doherty, teleSUR.
And thanks to David. And now we go to Palestine, where the Israeli government has decided to close the Al-AQSA mosque to all visitors, something the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas declared to be a tantamount to a declaration of war. From Gaza, here's our correspondent, Noor Harazeen.
Tension is rising in the towns and cities of the West Bank after an Israeli settler was killed. The Israeli forces killed this morning a Palestinian man. They said that he was a suspect of the killing of this settler. Shortly after that, clashes started in several towns and cities around the West Bank, especially in the area of the occupied city of Jerusalem. At the same time, the Israeli government said that they will be closing Al-Aqsa compound, Al-Aqsa holy site, and this is the first time in decades since 1967 that the Israeli side closed this holy site in the faces of Muslim Palestinian worshippers.
And thanks to Noor, a contingent of National Guard troops was dispatched to a Hawaii town on Thursday to provide security to the Big Island community. The island remains under threat of a river of molten lava slowly creeping towards a town's main road. The lava flow from the Kailua volcano has been making its way toward the village of Paoa for weeks. The lava is now about 160 yards from Paoa Village Road, the main street running through the town. Residents in nearby areas have been asked to be ready to leave, and many have already been emptying their homes of furniture and other valuables. A sacred tunnel discovered in the ancient Mexican city of Teotihuacan is filled with thousands of ritual objects. Many now speculate that it may have symbolized an underworld that leads to royal tombs. The entrance to the 1,800-year-old tunnel was first discovered in 2003, and some of its contents later came to light thanks to excavations by remote control robots and then human researchers. The ruins have been long shrouded in mystery. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English for teleSUR English. I'm Cody Weddle. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.